Hi everyone, welcome to my review of M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense in 1999. Here is the Blu-ray, and from this set here, the free-film set on Blu-ray. And yes, I'm back on YouTube. Feeling a lot better now. Probably felt better yesterday, and pretty much, completely. It just so happens that today, and this will be uploaded. It'll be the 27th. It'll be uploaded. But yes, I feel a lot better now, and yeah. I'm ready to do basically at least every 2 days review again and stuff like that. So yes, here we are with this Shyamalan set. I'm going to be reviewing pretty much all the Shyamalan films on the run up to Glass. And yes, The Sixth Sense. Some believe it to be his debut, but it's actually not. There's some other films before that. Wide Awake being one of them. Never seen them. Will be reviewing them. Just the ordering, of my reviews will be basically chronological, apart from them first two, and I'll go back to them. It might be, could be a few films down the line if I want to break from some of the bad ones. But yeah, basically, The Sixth Sense, very very critically, well, yes, it's pretty critically acclaimed film, and certainly very popular film. And yes, this is the first one really that Shyamalan kind of had a breakthrough with, and it's one of the most famous films. The twist ending and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of his trademarks all came through here, and it's just a very very popular film. If you ask most people, what the best Shyamalan film is, most would, well, now they'd say probably either Unbreakable or this. You could say. And yes, basically, Shyamalan's a director who's got a lot of hate, over the years, really from The Village onwards, and basically, I'm going to be watching all of his films, in the run up to Glass. As I say, massively hyped for that film, and we'll talk more about that. Well, probably in the next review of Unbreakable, which I might be reviewing next. But yeah, basically, The Sixth Sense, as I say, very very popular. Shyamalan is a director who, and this kind of comes into play with every director. I don't, when I'm thinking of my favourite directors, I don't kind of knock loads of marks off because they've made some bad films, and yes, The Happening is a bad film for me. And After Earth, yeah, definitely a dislike. Can't remember exactly what I thought of that film. I don't think it's one of the worst films ever made or anything, but The Happening, I can understand that. It's really awful. I'm not seeing The Last Airbender. I just didn't. I kind of got a bit depressed of the whole Shyamalan kind of thing, and then I just didn't really see that in the cinemas. Never seen Lady in the Water. And yes, basically, I grew up watching Signs, The Village. When that came out, I absolutely loved that film. That's the film is a bit divisive, but mainly it doesn't get much love. And I've kind of made maybe a bit glimmered, given some kind of mentions to that, in some other videos. But yes, I do love The Village. And Unbreakable is not a film I saw until last year actually. Wow, that's a great film. This one, is one of the ones I watched as a kid. This film, I think, most people have seen this probably now. And I just rewatched it again today, and wow, this film, it's one of the best films ever made for me. And I just think everyone should see this film. It's basically about, and I'm not going to get into. There will be some minor spoilers in this. Really. If you've not seen the film or heard anything about it, then there will be, yes, some minor spoilers, but I won't reveal the twist ending and all that kind of stuff. But yes, basically, there's this kid who's about 9 years old, played by Haley Joel Osment, wonderfully, and he plays, of course, Cole in the film, and basically, yeah, he basically he sees dead people. He's a troubled kid, and basically, this psychologist played by Bruce Willis, who plays Malcolm Crowe. Basically, yeah, he's a child psychologist, and he basically most of the film is about him. The friendship that develops, and of course, Bruce Willis's character trying to basically help out this kid, and basically change his life. And the opening sort of 10 minutes is a prologue, where basically Bruce Willis is shot by this by a past patient, and played by Donnie Wahlberg, I believe, and basically, yeah, he's with his wife celebrating this award that he got, and straight away, just what an opening, one of the best openings in cinema for me. Kind of straight away, you know, you get the kind of warmth and the kind of sincerity of this character of Malcolm. You know, straight away, you're kind of seeing how generous he is and you know, modest and all this kind of stuff. And his shot, and then the rest of the film, of course, his recovery, you know, obviously not great. It jumps ahead, and basically he's struggling, you know, in his relationship with his wife, and yeah, basically he comes across this kid, you know, this case, and basically tries to help this kid, and the rest of the film is that, you know, and of course you see the home life and the school life of the character of Cole, and of course his mother played by Toni Collette, you know, mother of Lynn, basically. Toni Collette, you know, is an absolutely wonderful actress. I think this is her best performance. And yes, there's very a small cast of characters really. Shyamalan, of course, makes a cameo, and yeah, this film it's in my top 100 of all time. You know, I absolutely love this film. It changed my life, you know, and it's just a little bit better once again. And it happens every time, you know, when I watch it. It just once again just blows me away. It's just a perfect film for me, you know, and you know, if you've not seen the film, check it out instantly, you know, straight away. It's just absolute perfection, really, for me. You know, and just what I feel, you know, of Shyamalan films, the early ones, his early masterpieces, you know, is a real particular, you know, mood, atmosphere, and a real spiritual feel. You know, I really feel that, and this one, you know, it just really represents that. You could say this and Signs represent it the most. You know, I think, again, Signs, one of the most underrated films of all time. Can't wait to talk about that. You know, and again, very divisive film, that one. Really, all his films are divisive, apart from in some way, you know, this one. You know, and this is the one that really, critically and kind of commercially, is the most successful, you could say. And yeah, you know, Bruce Willis, of course, as well. And performances in this film across the board are, you know, flawless. Bruce Willis, you know, of course, known before this really for a lot of action roles, and of course, Die Hard, just one of the best films ever made. And you know, I think I still probably prefer Die Hard to this. You know, as his best film. Maybe performance as well, but this one is a close second. You know, I think he's absolutely wonderful in this film. Of course, he's also Unbreakable. I think he's better in this, and an absolutely stunning performance. Wow, you know, such a warm character that he plays, and very complex, mysterious. You know, very you know, kind of very deep character who's got a lot of you know, troubles and everything. And I just love, you know, this whole narrative, the kind of friendship that they form. You know, this kid and Bruce Willis's character of Malcolm. It's just so wonderful. You know, it's just so human. And you know, the atmosphere, as I say, you know, just runs throughout the entire film. You know, Shyamalan films have got a very specific feel to them. You know, the early ones anyway, and The Village as well. You know, Signs, they all have it, and you can't quite put your finger on it. But it's just wonderful. It's such a consistent, you know, tone as well in this film, never broken. It's just wonderful. You know, it's so warm. You know, and so spiritual, as I say. You know, the narrative. You know, this mirror of these two characters. They kind of bring out, you know, all the different traits in each other, and you can't say they help each other out along the way. And it's one of the warmest, you know, purest friendships I've witnessed in cinema. Bruce Willis is absolutely perfect in the film. Haley Joel Osment, I tried to think before the review, and I'm still trying to think now, you know, if there's a better child performance, really in cinema. That's how good he is. Wonderful performance, and of course, the only other thing I've seen him in is AI. You know, he was very good in that as well. And he's not really been in much films, you know, over the years, but this is just one of the best, if not the best, child performance really for me. And you know, he's absolutely brilliant in the film. Wow, just wonderful. Toni Collette, of course, as well. She gives an absolutely brilliant performance. And these performances, you know, this wonderful script, very spiritual, you know, kind of very contemplative script, and the direction, the cinematography, and of course James Newton Howard's score. You know, and I've kind of talked about this in my top 10, you know, kind of horror scores, I believe. And yes, this is, you know, technically classed as a horror film. It's more a thriller, really. But for me, it's at heart a drama, and yes, basically, all these things contribute to something that is just truly human, completely engaging for me throughout, and just an absolute miracle of a film, really. I really I can't praise this higher. This is just one of the greatest films ever made for me, and it's such an emotional film. Even the opening, but really, just as the film goes on, it's just found myself constantly kind of just feeling very emotional, and there's a lot of scenes in this film, certainly in the last sort of half an hour or so, that just brought me to tears. They do every time. It's just so moving. This is a pure film, with just such a heart to it. Shyamalan masters every element in this film. Filmmaking. And of course the Newton Howard score. It's just absolutely wonderful. Not quite his best score, but it's absolutely stunning. Of course, Shyamalan, for me, he is just one of the best directors of all time. And yes, he has made, which I haven't seen, but I've seen clips of, The Last Airbender, which is mostly considered one of the top 10 worst films of all time. I have seen The Happening, and yes, it's quite enjoyable in how bad it is, but a bad film nevertheless. Doesn't discount from his masterpieces, and when he was on form, and now with Split, the comeback really for me. It's just one of the best for me. Definitely in my top 20 directors of all time. And this guy is a genius. The way he, of course, written and directed by him. Most of his films are, and they are just wonderful. The scripts mostly in his early films. The script in this is just perfect. I think thoroughly human, as I say, and just all the different kind of plot devices he uses. It never feels like a gimmick, and of course you have got a twist ending in this. And a twist endings, in Shyamalan films are always, in these early ones, of course, as I refer to, at times they are quite controversial. Signs, and of course, The Village, is known. Most people say it's one of the worst twists of all time. We'll get to that, when I review it. I don't feel that, and the twists in his films always kind of, they're never really, cheap at all. They kind of just flip the film, so when you rewatch it and you kind of know the twist, it makes it more of a deeper experience. This one, it's not just looking out for different clues and everything. It kind of just makes it more of a tragedy. That's what this film is really for me. It's a tragic film, but it's also one that is very, very uplifting, and especially this whole friendship, this bond that happens over the film. It's so magical. That's what I'd say. So moving. It is just for me one of the best films ever made in its execution. Its purity. How perfect the performances are, and just the way that Shyamalan directs this film. It's just masterful. Really, to say this is a masterpiece for me is an understatement. It's absolutely mind blowing, this film, and I think if you've not seen it, and of course there will be people that haven't quite seen it yet. Just watch the film. You will probably not be disappointed. It's just a film that really it blows me away. On every level. There's some themes in this film that are very, very powerful. The way they're explored, isolation, bullying in general, and of course just spirituality. Really, he taps into that so well. And this is, of course, it deals with bullying, and you see him at school and everything, and at home, and it's one of the, for me, one of the best films that kind of deal with bullying in cinema, and just the way it's just such a troubled character, and it's just so moving, so powerful. This kid, and as well at the same time, what goes on with Bruce Willis's character of Malcolm throughout the film. This is a perfect narrative that I was engaged in. I am every time I see it fully from start to finish. It's a film where the direction, the editing, the use of music, the performances, the writing, everything succeeds, on such a level that really, of course, this is a full mark film from me, and it's always been one of my favourite films of all time. And pretty easy for me to kind of review this and kind of say easily that this is in my plus tiers of 100%, and it goes into my tier ones. That's what I'd give the film. 100% plus tier one. One of the very best films ever made for me, and I think just even better, just a little bit better than I've always remembered it. It just gets better every single time I see it. Is it Shyamalan's best film? Find out on the next few reviews. I think we'll roll out Split. Although I loved it, I will say that's not contending. But check out some of my reviews for the next ones, the next few films, and you'll see kind of you'll get a rough idea, and maybe I'll announce it then. But for now, I will say that this is my top 100 films of all time. Well into there, just it's just one of the best films ever made for me. Cinematic perfection. I think the performances are absolutely beautiful performances. They really are wonderful. This is a wonderful, wonderful film. It really is just. It's a beautiful film, soulful, spiritual film. It's just thoroughly human. It moves me. It's got comedy in there. It's got just something that I connect to throughout. It's got all these different themes that are masterfully explored by Shyamalan. The script is just wonderful in this film, and it really, every act of this film fits perfectly. You've got some kind of use of flashbacks in there as well, and always at the perfect placement. The twist ending as well just kind of makes every single rewatch, it makes the film even better, and that's what a twist should do, really, for me. It's not kind of just be one to kind of shock or surprise the audience. It's one that kind of can completely change the film or enhance it, if you like, and kind of make it a more richer experience, kind of deepen the tale, you could say. And he does this in all these kind of twists in his early films for me, and The Village even, and Unbreakable. They're just kind of, it makes the film when you rewatch it just so much better, and no way is it a gimmick in these early films. And this film, just the way as well that Shyamalan builds the tension throughout. This is a horror film at times, certainly after the 45-minute mark or so, when one of the reveals happens, of course. But basically, it's more for me of a drama than anything. And yes, it's got these aspects in the film that are thriller horror, and when they are there, the use of tension to build it is it's mastered, in this film. But what gets me is just how human this is. The characters, some of the best in film. The performances, wonderful, and this atmosphere, this kind of spiritual feel, and this film has, is just, it's absolutely wonderful, and it really moved me to tears once again. And it's just, yes, I mean, I'll say, is it his best? There's only maybe one other film I will say that is better than this that he made, and yes, this film is absolutely perfect in my opinion. And yes, check it out if you've not seen it, and if you have seen it, let me know what you think in the comments. And I'd recommend, of course, this set, and they're all great films here. You could say his best three that most people would say. Not going to say if I believe that, but yes, basically, Shyamalan, when on form, is one of the finest directors of all time, in my opinion. And this film, he just knocked it out of the park in every way. And cinematic perfection, one of my absolute favourite films of all time. Probably for me as well, the best film. I'm thinking, yes, the best film that I've reviewed, probably since August. Yes, surpassing Fight Club for me as well. Same year. What a year 1999 was. For me, it's probably the best. Could be the best year of the 90s. 1994. Very, very close. But I think this has more masterpieces in it. So yes. The Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan, an absolute genius when on form. Thanks for watching my review.